Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So apologies about my voice. I literally woke up feeling super congested and I don't feel like I sound like myself currently. But today we are going to be drawing two more of the kind of Genshin emote stickers or emoji stickers that they usually have for like on their website, or when you play in-game in Genshin you can use them to communicate to others, and I always find them super cute. So I kind of wanted to do another two versions where I draw them in my style. I probably should have said this at the very beginning of the video, but happy Chinese New Year, or happy Lunar New Year if you celebrate it. But if you play Genshin and you don't celebrate it, then just happy Lantern, right? And if you don't celebrate any of those, then happy Saturday, happy Sunday. So yeah, since it is the Lunar New Year, I wanted to do at least one of them kind of pertaining to the holiday season. So there's like a really cute one of Yao Yao saying happy holiday. There's a bunch of them with like Yugui as well, so I was gonna do maybe one of them, but I don't think there's really a point of drawing Yugui in my style since he's gonna look fairly similar to how he's already drawn. So I wanted to do this like particular one with Yao Yao because I kind of like the idea with the little glimpse of the lantern. Now I do kind of make a mistake that I didn't keep the lantern within the circle, so I tried my best to keep most of the things very similar to how they have composed the emote, and I realized that a lot of them are kind of contained in this little circle. Now I don't know if that's how it is for like in the actual Genshin game. I rarely use it. There's like 3 people I use it with when I'm talking to them online, and I feel like they follow into like the square format. I'm not too sure, but I tried my best to start off with a circle and then trying to put Yao Yao comfortably within the same kind of composition. But I probably should have said this also in the beginning, is that I am using Clip Studio Paint today rather than doing things in Procreate. I think in the last video where I drew Ike, I said I wanted to practice doing line work a little bit more, and I feel like I found like a comfortable place of doing line work in a way that I like it and that suits kind of like my coloring preferences. But the thing is that I want to be able to kind of mix what I like about line work and mix with what I like about like painterly styled things, because I still think even though Procreate has a little bit like the way how I work on Procreate and work in like painterly way, it's much more thicker lines, but I love having the freedom to be able to paint over things a little bit more easily, coloring things all at once. But I do like the structure of having line work, because another thing that's kind of like, even though I like to color things all at once, there's something nice about being able to fill in things separately without it kind of bleeding into one another, because that causes me to have to go back and forth to fix certain things. Like if I do the skin and I feel like the skin is finished, if I color in the hair, then sometimes when I color in the hair it bleeds into the face. It's just like different preferences, I guess. And I think it's also because like when I first started getting into Procreate, and a lot of people are very wary about like the layer limit, I think I subconsciously also wanted to keep my layer limit, like, wow, my congestion makes me probably sound like I have a lisp right now too, my layer limit to a certain maximum, because I didn't want to hit that limit at all. So I think that's why I continuously merge my layers. But working in Clip Studio Paint, I'm trying to think how many I had. So I separate my line work into 3 layers. So one for the circle. We're working the line work, by the way. I'll make sure to leave all the brushes down below. I believe I used the Froggy pencil for sketching, and then for the line work I used, I think it's like is it a Korean one or it's a Japanese? I might have to relook at it. I don't really remember. It might be Korean. And then I used I think it's CXY brush or CZY brush, and the soft paint brush for coloring. So for line work, yeah, I separate into 3 layers. So I have the circle as a separate layer, just so it's easier time of filling in the background color if we need to. And then I separate the eyes and the eyebrows from everything else. So I did everything else on 1 layer. And I think I mentioned in the other video that I usually separate like eyes on a separate layer, eyebrows on a separate layer, skin on a separate layer, hair on a separate layer, and clothing on a separate layer. And I kind of have like 5 different layers just because it's easier for me to color in the line work after, like making the line work match the actual coloring of the objects. But for simplicity's sake, I'm trying to limit my layers a little bit because I'm a little bit disorganized sometimes when working digitally, and I know some people have this problem too, but I believe if you hold control and shift, or it's maybe just control or shift, one or the other. I know in Paint Tool SAI, I subconsciously press control and shift together, and you hover above a layer. It tells you what layer it is, or if you hold control and shift and you click on the certain object or line or whatever you're trying to figure out which layer it's on, it'll like immediately take you to that layer. So I found that super helpful. I'm trying to think what else. So yeah, for line work though, I have been trying to keep things a little bit on the thinner side. I'm seeing like when I'm working on Yao Yao, and I'll hate them a little bit later. Spoilers, that's the next person. I guess it's not really spoilers, he's the thumbnail. But I wanted to keep the line work a little bit thinner. I think I did a good job when I was doing that for Ike's piece, but I feel like for these ones, I was subconsciously bringing in my old habits again, which is going a little bit thicker, which I don't think was too much of an issue for these drawings, just because the canvas size was so large that a lot of the lines anyway still read fairly thin, but you can see that there's a lot more line variation you can get with this pen. So I don't think you're gonna really see it until I get to Yao Yao's eyes, but you can actually make super like thicker lines with this pen. But the pressure sensitivity also allows me to have like super thin lines so I can work on smaller details without having to change the pen thickness. So actually I feel like, yeah, you can see right here when I'm doing the curve, you can get like a lot of a thicker line, and I feel like I don't take advantage of the line weight as much as I probably should. I usually add line weight afterwards because it's more comfortable and it's easier for me to add line weight kind of like in the crossing corners of like an object or hair or anything like that. So I feel like some people might have a question of why I'm not doing this in Procreate or on my iPad, kind of for 2 reasons. I still need to practice a lot more doing line work in Procreate. There's just some kind of disconnect that I'm having more so than I do in Clip Studio Paint or like on Paint Tool SAI on a display tablet. Even though like both of them are very similar, but I do feel like I was the most comfortable doing line work and probably like the most efficient as well when I was doing it without a display tablet, so like a non-screen tablet. I think it's also because you are strictly looking at your computer screen or your laptop screen while your hand is working on your tablet, so there's literally like no interference. You just have to get over the initial fact of learning how to deal with the what is it called, like hand-eye coordination, or like disassociation between your hand not being where your eyes are also looking, if that makes sense. But I didn't realize I put Yao Yao in the top left. Maybe I have to move them to the top right for both of them, because I usually have a mini view of my work and like a separate window, just because usually when I'm doing line work, I didn't do it this time, but I decided to do it for coloring, mostly because I wanted to see whether or not the eyes read correctly from far away. Just because when I do color, I do zoom in quite a bit, doing like little details and stuff, and some things aren't necessary, or things get a little bit warped or deformed due to me being super up close to whatever object I'm coloring. So I like to have a little mini finder thing. Some people use like the navigator, but if you don't like using the navigator, all you do is, I believe you go into window or something like that, and I think you press new window, and then you can make a second canvas of the same drawing. You can just pop that out and make it floating. Well, the other one is full screened so that it can continue to float on top of your workspace. That's like something I really like about Clip Studio Paint versus Paint Tool SAI. So Paint Tool SAI is like my favorite art program still, in terms of like, it was the one that I learned to use at the very start, and I'm most familiar with it. And it's just super simple. Like a lot of the things, it feels still a little bit bare bones, but it's still capable of doing so much. And a lot of my favorite artists still use Paint Tool SAI, which I still really like, because it's not very much about the program, but like being able to utilize what the program has already given you. But Clip Studio Paint has so many things to offer, and one thing I do like is being able to customize the workspace. So I noticed this more so in Clip Studio Paint rather than Paint Tool SAI, was that I like having my brush size really close to me while I'm working now. Usually I keep it on the bottom right hand corner, but I constantly find myself having to look to see what size I'm changing the brush to, and this seemed very inefficient, especially because like my tablet screen's a little bit on the larger side. So I feel like when I was working in Paint Tool SAI when I was younger, because I was using a smaller screen, because I'm looking at my laptop screen, right? The stretch to go to my brush sizes to my canvas again is much a smaller trek versus on this gigantic screen. Also, I think I didn't include any of this in the footage. I actually had a lot of wrist pain while doing this. Don't do this, by the way. If you have wrist pain, just stop working on what you're working on. Give your wrist a break. Yeah, I think it's because it's a combination of me playing Genshin mobilely, like on mobile, and the way I play sometimes is a little bit probably aggressive, and I played for a long period of time, which caused me to have a bit of wrist pain, which is like how I usually get wrist pain if I'm holding my phone. I feel like I don't get carpal tunnel or wrist pain too often recently, because I do a very good job of making sure that I give my wrist a break, or I don't have a deft grip or anything like that. But I feel like just because of the Genshin update, I went ham and tried to finish everything all at once, so I don't have to worry about it, because this week is really busy for me. Oh, I guess you see it. So anytime I bend my hand towards the camera, that's when I'm stretching my hand, making sure that things are not too tight, I guess, in my tendon. I don't know if this is my tendon, but or like whatever it is, whatever causes probably like arthritis and your carpal tunnel and all that. Yeah, because usually when I'm drawing, I don't get that bad of wrist pains, but today was or yesterday, I guess, for you guys, it was particularly bad, and it actually felt okay after I went to take a break to go eat dinner with my family to celebrate the new year. And yeah, that was kind of nice, because I literally spent, I think, how many hours eating with them? Probably a disgusting amount of time. It was just funny because like I went grocery shopping with my mom earlier that day too, so we can procure some stuff for the Lunar New Year, just kind of like prepping and just like little candies and stuff. I don't know. I bought White Rabbit candy. If some of you guys might have seen this on my Instagram story, but I decided to buy it because it's very much a nostalgic candy for me. I've had it when I was during my childhood, and because I used to live in a village, whenever we went to the city, I would buy little candies and stuff from the Asian supermarket, and White Rabbit candy was one that I really, really liked when I was younger, and every time I see the packaging and stuff, it's very iconic to me, so I really wanted to buy it again recently. But the thing is, I didn't read it because I didn't know this. I thought White Rabbit candy was like one flavor only, which is like, I think it's like a milk flavor, I guess, basically. And I opened it yesterday after getting home from grocery because I just wanted to eat one while I was cleaning and stuff. And I was like, I opened it up and I popped one in my mouth, and I was like, oh, the rice paper tastes a little funky. Like maybe it's just the rice paper. And then the more I kept like sucking on the candy, it's like it tasted like red bean. I'm like, why does it taste like this? So I like run downstairs, look at the packaging, and there's a red bean flavor. So I actually didn't know that White Rabbit candy made a red bean flavor. I always thought it was just a milk flavor. I'm kind of sad because it doesn't give me the same nostalgia. It still tastes good, but red bean's still like probably not my most favorite. I can eat it in desserts and stuff, but like for things like, I don't know, how would you describe what tong soy is? It's like a sweet soup, dessert type thing, but if it has red bean, it's literally not my favorite. I think it's because I'm not a bean person. Have I mentioned this before? I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm not a bean person. I don't like the texture usually. I can still eat them. Like, you know, if you have it in your burrito or anything like that, I can eat it. If you have baked beans, I could probably eat it. Anything like that, I can eat. But it's just kind of like that texture. I don't really like peas that much either, and I don't like the texture of edamames either. Technically, I can still eat them. Like I said, like if I'm given them, I won't pick them out or anything like that, and I won't say like I can't eat them or don't like them. I just don't like the texture. That's like the only food that like I'm a texture person for. I know some people don't like eating like bananas or like certain kind of like jellies and stuff because they're more of a texture person. But yeah, beans, that's me for beans. I don't like eating red beans in my rice either. Those kinds of stuff, I guess. So yeah, like red beans, azuki beans and stuff. If I can, I don't get it, but I do like the flavor for the most part. So I'll just have to see if my brother will eat majority of that bag though. What else? Okay, so for the coloring, I did my best to do all the objects and clothing all in one layer. Also for the hair is usually where I struggle trying to keep it more towards my painterly style whenever I do line work. I don't think I did that much detail for Yao Yao's hair though, but I think it looks fine for the most part. And yeah, I did most of the coloring for the clothing and everything on one layer so that I can still do my painterly way of being able to pick up colors from like different places, and then slowly smoothing it out and kind of just transferring the colors rather than having to search for the clothing article item, looking for the layer, going somewhere else and looking for the layer again. I did similar font to the actual thing. I added some light to the lantern so that's a little bit glowy, and then I finished it off by adding a little bit of softer coloring to the line work itself so everything looks a little bit soft. So yeah, that was Yao Yao. So let's work on Mr. Al-Haytham. I probably should have said this like at the beginning of the video too. How are your guys' Genshin pulls recently? I probably should have asked in Wednesday's video, but I was super brain dead in terms of doing the narration for that one, I believe. So So update from me, I did get Yao Yao within the first 10 pull, which is quite nice because I literally been waiting for her for so dang long. And see, she's literally so dang cute. Also, watch me do like 5 fingers for him. I don't catch it until I think I do the next hand. Or actually, no, he has 4 fingers here. I think when I redo the hand, I accidentally give him 5 fingers, and then I'm gonna have to readjust a little bit later. But yeah, I ended up getting Yao Yao, and I did end up getting Al-Haytham. So for me, I actually had 7 pulls, I believe, securely ready for him, which isn't a lot, nor was I guaranteed. My pity was at 9, since the last person I summoned for was Wanderer, and after the update, you're given like more primos from the maintenance, so I was able to push myself to have 8 pulls. I mean 8 pulls, I mean 10 pulls is what I mean. I don't mean like physically 8 pulls, because that would be very sad for me. But yeah, I had 80 pulls, I guess, ready. And my pity was at 9, not 50, or not guaranteed. So yeah, I summoned, and he came around 79, I believe, around there. I don't really remember if he was the very last one, but it was in the high 70s. So it took me 10 pulls to get him, and I used the remaining 10 to summon on the weapon banner with no luck. But yeah, I'm glad he came home because I actually really enjoy him as a character. I'm kind of waiting for Kaveh, or Kaveh, I don't really remember how to say his name. Apologies also, I know a person was trying to correct me on how I was saying Al-Haytham, so hopefully Al-Haytham is correct, or I'm gonna look really stupid. But yeah, I really like their kind of more sassier, kind of petty attitude, more so like Al-Haytham being petty rather than Kaveh, but I do like their dynamic because I think it's nice to have characters that are not just like, oh, they're nice, oh, they're sweet, oh, they're shy, oh, they're, you know, like it's just in that happy, positive kind of light, if that makes sense. I do like the idea of like having characters that can banter a little bit more or a little bit more feisty. Tinari, I do like his attitude as well, so Oh, I actually don't show you guys that I drew 5 fingers. I just go straight in with drawing the glove. But yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the line work is that when I'm doing line work, I decided to change the initial. I'm trying to think of how to explain this, like where I start with it. So usually when I do faces and stuff, the face is like the most important for me, and a lot to do with the face is the eye placement and stuff, because if it looks off, everything's gonna look off. So I usually start with the eyes, but to prevent myself from stopping doing line work right away because of that, I decided to do pretty much every area around the eye first and then get to the eye a little bit later. Another thing that I don't do the same as when I was used to do line work is that I don't fill the eye in completely with black. Now I still could probably do this and it would still work out fine, but I wanted to see whether or not I could paint the entire eye kind of like on its own layer separate, just because it might be a little bit more clean. It keeps the lines a little bit thinner, but also I don't know, I think it's just like a different preference. I'm just trying to juggle different things to see what I like so that I don't hate line work so much, because I know I was very like apprehensive of even doing line work a lot, and a lot of people either get the misconception that I can't do line work, or because like I think it's because I do a painterly style, or like I use my sketch as my lines. Some people think like, oh, she doesn't have the patience to do line work, she doesn't know how to do line work, which like I feel like the patient thing is correct, but it's not that I don't know how to do it is the reason why I don't do it. It's just like preference. But I do feel like maybe also line work kind of contributes to my carpal tunnel hand thing, so maybe that's why I haven't really experienced it in quite a while, since the last, I think, is it 3 years now? Yeah, basically 3 years of working in Procreate. I haven't done line work, so, or like for the most part I haven't done it, so I don't really have to put that pressure on making the lines a certain way. Okay, let's talk about coloring for a little bit and then we'll get into the choice. Oh yeah, here's me trying to exercise the wrist so I don't get cramps and stuff. So for coloring, the difference between these ones compared to Ike, because Ike's was kind of formatted in my sketch page or sketch dump kind of way, where sometimes the bottom of the drawing is like cut off, but because everything around Al Haytham is pretty much sealed and like completely closed in terms of line work, I was able to do this for coloring. So you select everything outside of Al Haytham, and for me I had to select also the circle as well, and then you would invert your selection, fill it in. I like to fill it in with a super bold color just in case I miss any pixels here and there. And yeah, I basically make a new folder, clip that to the super vibrant color so that I don't have to clip every layer to this like vibrant color to keep things inside of the lines. It's just like a lot of less headache, so I can color more freely. Can you guys hear like my throat like deteriorating? I feel like I'm actually sick right now. I probably am. I literally woke up like in a sweat, like as if I had a fever or something. I probably need to go take my temperature and stuff and go check if ever or not I am sick. Yes, I didn't explain the emote that I was using today, or the emoji, or whatever you want to call these Genshin Chibis. So the one I decided to use is the use your brain one. I wanted to keep it a little bit more simple because I was finishing Al Haytham up after I was doing the little family thing with my family, like a dinner and stuff, and it was just like me, my mom, and my dad, because my brother has gone to sleep because he has work early in the morning. So yeah, I was eating dinner with them. I cleaned up. We were like packing the fridge and everything, getting everything cleaned. I also do have to do a lot of cleaning today so that we can't do it tomorrow. Otherwise, I believe that is bad luck. It's like washing away your luck. So yeah, I have to do a lot of cleaning today. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I forgot to say the other reason why I didn't do this on Procreate. So one is because of my lack of confidence in doing line work in Procreate. The other one is just because I've been working on Procreate for so long and a lot recently, because I'm trying to finish up commissions, I'm trying to finish up some other illustrations, that I needed a break. So I wanted to work in Clip Studio Paint to kind of just change it up a little bit, and I haven't had time to work anything like traditionally recently, so hopefully I can get something done for Monday and maybe give myself a little bit of break from doing digital work. Another thing I kind of skipped over, I think, I'm kind of like losing track right now. Yes, the reason why I chose this Al-Haytham Chibi is that I felt this one was a little bit on the cute side of his like attitude. There's like the other ones is, I think it's like him saying shut up, so he looks very like deadpan, neutral face on the outside, but then behind him is like showing his inner emotion of telling everyone to shut up, and he's like holding his head. That one would have been very fun to do, but I didn't want to draw him twice, and I knew I would have to draw both of them. Like I would have to draw the smaller version, then the larger version, and then dial back the opacity of the larger version. It would have been fun to do. Maybe I'll do it next time. We'll see. And yeah, so I drew Yao Yao because it was more holiday related, and she's very cute and I love her so much. But the reason why I'm drawing Al-Haytham is that I still don't think I keep doing him justice. I think today's attempt is probably the best attempt that I drew him in general. So yeah, hopefully I can kind of keep that forward, because I've been having a lot of fun drawing him. I do like his hair a lot too, so maybe I can draw him a little bit more in my sketchbook or something, or maybe I'll do a gouache painting today for Monday's video or something like that, so that I can continue to draw him, because I really do enjoy him as a character. And I'm still trying my best to build him up. I do think he's going to be one of the characters I level up to 90. I think, because I didn't do it for the last few characters that I've gotten, especially like the 5 stars and stuff. I haven't risen Sino or Wanderer to 90. I left them at 80 because I'm a little bit particular of who I raise to 90, just because if I raise them to 90, it's usually because I have intentions of crowning them. I think except for Barbara, and yeah, I think it's just Barbara. Barbara's the only one I haven't crowned her, I think. If I did, then good on me, but if I didn't, I think it's because like I no longer used her for like the abyss and stuff. A lot of the people I crown I tend to use quite a bit, just because I do utilize their talent and I want them to be at a higher level to do more damage or do whatever they need to be doing. Let me see, what else was this? So the sticker emoji things, I think actually it'd be very cute to make more of these ones in my style and have them for freebie stickers or something for the next store update, which by the way is going to be coming up super soon. I am aiming for early February or mid-February for the store update. There's just a few amount of things I need to prep. All my merch has pretty much come in. I still have to get business cards and packaging. They come in so that I can get ready for basically packing day after the orders and stuff roll in. But yeah, I didn't talk about the rest of the different emojis. So we have the use your brain, which I absolutely love. We have the one that says shut up. There's another one that says I'm off work, bye, and I really wanted to do that one too, but I didn't know if I wanted to do like a back pose where he's like side view being like, don't talk to me, I'm walking away from you. And then the last one, what is the last one? I believe I don't know if there is another set. Maybe they were fan made, but if they're fan made, they were really well done because it was done in a very, very convincing style. But yeah, there was one more, and I feel like this one was just the one I really wanted to do. I think it's just also because it says use your brain. I feel like that's gonna be like the most commonly used one, other than the one that says shut up. And then there's like a bunch of Yao Yao ones that were very cute, and Yugui as well, which I love Yugui, it's so cute. And then I believe there's like Ningguang, Yelan, who else was there? Hu Tao, and I'm trying to think who else was there, because Hu Tao says Fang's boss. I think it's like something to do with fortune or Mora, or something for Ningguang. I think something for Yelan, I don't really remember, probably with something to do with fortune or good luck. And then there's another emote kind of thing. I don't know, I really like them. I would like to do a few more in the future if I can, where I do some of the more of the chibis in my style. They're just fun to do in my opinion, and it's just a good way to have something like a subject already ready for you to draw so that you can focus on other things. So like for me, I was focusing more on the line work and trying to get things to read correctly, so it just kind of like knocks out a little bit of that thinking, like having to necessarily think about certain things because you don't have to make everything from scratch, which is why I like doing fan art a lot, because fan art you don't have to think too much about the character design, like making a character design. It's already laid out for you, so you can focus on other things like maybe the environment or their personality, so that you can express that in a pose or in a composition or in an atmosphere and stuff. And it's just like, I find that more helpful, if that makes sense. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed today's drawing session though. I did my best to keep everything how I wanted it to be, considering the fact that usually I don't like my coloring whenever I do line work because I do feel a little bit more confined. But I tried my best to kind of keep it in that kind of painterly space, similar to how I usually work in Procreate, because that is usually how I like to color, and I feel like that usually comes out well whenever I do like clothing. But hair is a little bit iffy, skin's like there's not too much to add, and then eyes are pretty much also not too much to add, so usually I'm fighting with the hair. So yeah, just putting in text really quickly. We'll add an outline, I'll delete unnecessary lines, and then I'll show you guys both Yao Yao and El Haytham right at the very end. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little drawing session. I hope to do more in the future. I'm not too sure if I'm gonna do them all in Clipsio Paint like this. I do like how clean they are, so that I can probably use them for stickers and stuff maybe in the future. But yeah, here's El Haytham, and then hopefully I'll show you guys after, or I don't, I guess I'm just showing you guys a close-up. So yeah, El Haytham and yeah. So yeah, that is both of them. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you guys next time, and hopefully I'll get over my cold. Yeah, bye!